It's all changed now. Football fans are back in the Premier League. Away fans are back in the Premier League. And West Ham's 2021-22 season is about to get underway. Live on BBC Radio London, Sport on Digital. The rain is pouring down here at St James. It's actually quite a chilly afternoon. Doesn't feel remotely summery, I have to say. I'll run you through the two lineups once more. Lucas Fabianski in goal for the Hammers, Vladimir Coufal, Craig Dawson, Angelo Ogbonna and Aaron Cresswell at the back. In midfield, Thomas Souček and Declan Rice, two of the heroes from Euro 2020. Saïd Benrahma, Pablo Fornals, and Jared Bowen playing behind Michail Antonio as the main striker. Freddie Woodman is the Newcastle goalkeeper. Goalkeeper number 3 as far as their first choice is concerned. Back 3, Kieran Clark, Federico Fernandez and Emil Krak, with Jacob Murphy and Matt Ritchie, the wing-backs, John Joe Shelby, Isaac Hayden in the middle, and Miguel Almiron, Callum Wilson and Alan Saint-Maximin as the 3 front players. On the bench at West Ham, Areola, Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Noble, Diop, Fredericks, Johnson, Coventry and Baptiste. And for Newcastle, Gillespie, Shah, Lascelles, Joe Linton, Lewis, Hendrick, Fraser, Gale and Sean Longstaff. Used to go to school with a chap called Langstaff. That's who I'm blaming it on at any rate. And in the rain here at St James's Park on BBC Radio London, Martin Atkinson almost waits for a little bit of hush. He's not going to get it. And he will blow the whistle and get things started. Saïd Benrahma is inside the centre circle. He's going to get us underway. The players take the knee. Few boos. Lots of applauding as well as Benrahma gets to his feet. Blows his whistle and away we go with Craig Dawson with a long ball forward for the Hammers. The target is Souček. He's been beaten to it, and Murphy is going to put it out of play on the far side of the field. So Saint-Maximin starting very high up the pitch with Wilson. I don't know, it's almost as like it's a front 2 for Newcastle with their back 5. Throwing West Ham first of all, though, Cresswell to take it. And if you listen very carefully, I hope you can hear Iron Trevor blowing bubbles drifting down from that lofty perch the West Ham fans have away to our left-hand side. 2 o'clock on BBC Radio London. You're very welcome to the northeast of England where it's pouring with rain. But West Ham's new season is underway, and they have another throw-in level with the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. Cresswell finds Benrahma, who burrows forward. Back to Cresswell on the left-hand side. He's got support on that flank from Fornals. He's going to win a corner, though. Early pressing from West Ham, Matt Lockwood.
Yeah, Cresswell did well down the left-hand side there. They just look, even just the way they're walking, their swagger, they look full of confidence already. I think Cresswell just hurt himself, but just as he went across the ball there, it was a bit of a sort of a block tackle that came in. I think it was from Murphy, and he's just limping off. So, and that was on his left foot as well. So hopefully that will just be a little bit of a sore one to start off with, but it won't cause him too many issues moving forward.
First set piece of the game then, it's West Ham's, and it's Aaron Cresswell who's going to take it with the left foot, or possibly Benrahma with the right. It's going to be left for Cresswell, who swings it out for Dawson, who meets it, and then it's pushed towards goal by Souček and bundled round the post, off the line by a Newcastle United defender. That looked goal-bound from Souček. Dawson's so good at getting into those positions. West Ham have won another corner.
Yeah, it was Almiron who cleared it off the line. You wouldn't expect him to be in there, would you? But he was just in the right place at the right time. But it was a great delivery from Cresswell, right on the money. And West Ham are a big, strong team, and they look dangerous from set pieces.
Souček in there, Rice in there, Ogbonna as well. Lots of targets as Cresswell lines this up once again. It'll be another left-footed out-swinging corner towards the near post. Dawson almost gets there again. It's bundled away once more, I think, by Almiron. It's going to come back to Benrahma, who swings it to the far post. It goes over Antonio. But West Ham already a colossal threat from set pieces in this opening couple of minutes, and Souček's header bundled away by Almiron. Newcastle 0, West Ham 0, but only just.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, like you say, Dawson, Ogbonna, when they come forward, they're big guys, and Newcastle aren't really that sort of, big and physical. So they do look dangerous. So I think the more the West Ham can put them under pressure and get quality deliveries in that box, I think we could see some goals from set pieces today.
They've gone quiet, the Newcastle fans already. Dawson wins another header, driving into some spaces. Fornals runs into Shelby, who wins the challenge, and then Ritchie's going to steer it forward. Looks for his former clubmate Callum Wilson. Two ex-Bournemouth players, it goes over Wilson's shoulder. Don't forget, Callum Wilson, excellent record against West Ham. 8 goals in his last 10 Premier League appearances against the Hammers. Soufal's going to take this throw down in front of us. And you're absolutely right about West Ham. It's almost like the summer wasn't there. And West Ham have spent the last couple of months thinking, yeah, we're pretty good, actually. We're going to go to Newcastle on the opening day and cause loads of problems.
It's mad what confidence does for a team.
Murphy strides forward though for Newcastle. Now St Maximin will step over centre field, rolls it wide to the right hand side. He's slightly overcooked that, and Kraft can't get there. He was galloping forward in support, but it's overhit. And of course the other thing that West Ham need to be wary of is that Newcastle United will set up to counter-attack, and when you've got St Maximin who can shift the ball downfield so quickly, you are going to have to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, you are, and I think you know, the way West Ham is set up, they're prepared for that.
Here they come again, Newcastle. St Maximin right side, held up by Rice, and then Rice is still holding him up. St Maximin still got it, drags him to the byline, gets in across, and it's headed into the net by Wilson. Callum Wilson scores again against West Ham, and it was some real wizardry by St Maximin on the right, who went in the cross, and Wilson just got in front of everybody. Nodded it past Fabianski, and with 4.5 minutes gone, St James's Park's in uproar because it's Newcastle 1, West Ham 0.
Yeah, what play from St Maximin there. He was jinking left, right. Declan Rice, you thought he had him. Yeah. He had him sort of, you know, just outside the penalty area, had him stood up. But the quick footwork of St Maximin was absolutely fantastic, and he's whipped in a great ball, and it was one of those that basically he couldn't miss it, could he? You know, Callum Wilson was there, he got in between the two centre halves, it was right on his forehead, about 4 yards from goal, and it was a great goal. But all, you know, fair play to St Maximin. He created that all by himself.
Wilson scored on the opening day at West Ham last season. It's his 9th goal in 10 and a bit Premier League fixtures against the Hammers. But as Matt's been saying, it was put on a silver platter by some astonishing wing play by Alain St Maximin. And Declan Rice, one of England's heroes from Euro 2020, was done up like a kipper, I'm afraid. And as you said, it looked as though Rice had the situation under control. That was what was so astonishing. St Maximin had gone once and had to go back, had gone a second time and had to go back, and then went a third time and beat him and got the cross in. Here he is again, running at the edge of the penalty area. He's been dispossessed by Bowen, only just. And West Ham are trying to counter themselves now, trailing by a 1-0. Here's Antonio, first touch, I think. It's a lazy one, or a sloppy one rather, and it's been lifted forward, and Wilson's offside. And it goes all the way through to Fabianski. Funny how the whole tenor of the afternoon can change in a moment, Matt, because as I said, West Ham had started strongly and St James's Park had shut up. They were not doing anything really to get behind their team. And then, as I said, a bit of wizardry. And we're all talking about a wonderful goal from a Newcastle perspective that gives them the lead here on BBC Radio London.
Yeah, no, it's one of those where, as an opposing player, when you come to St James's Park, you know that you can quieten this crowd down. If you start well and you're on top, these fans do get a little bit nervous and anxious and a little bit moany at times. So you can really change the atmosphere in this stadium. But you know, you feel sorry for Declan Rice because obviously, you know, the skills that St Maximin have got. Someone needed to go and help Rice. He needed to go 2v1 there, but he was left on his own. And like you say, he got done up like a kipper.
I mean, you know, the rest of the West Ham team are thinking, oh, Declan's got this, aren't they? Maybe that's why there was no one else coming over to offer another body, because it just looked for all the world as though Rice was going to deal with it. Here's Antonio breaking forward and goes for goal from range, blocked by Fernandez. Comes out to St Maximin. Almiron will try and run around Soufal. Soufal goes in strongly. He's got a bit of Almiron as well. I think that's going to be a throw-in though. And well, it's fascinatingly poised, because that will have... West Ham are smarting from that, having controlled the first 5 minutes. To see the lead go Newcastle's way in that regard. Freddie Woodman, who's just got his first touch away to our right, is steering it out to Murphy, who goes long. Hayden the target, a foot in from Cresswell, and now West Ham are coming forward with Souček, tries to thread a pass, cut out once again by Kraft, and then John Joe Shelby, who started his career at Charlton Athletic, digs this out and finds Almiron, who moves over the halfway line. Ritchie is overlapping to the left. Almiron decides to go infield, exchanges passes with St Maximin, now down the channel for Hayden, who's got forward, wants to win a corner but runs out of road, and it goes out of play for a goal kick. Callum Wilson's goal separating these two sides here on the home of London football. This is BBC Radio London with Tottenham against Manchester City to come from 4 o'clock. Gabby Roslin's programme is on 94.9 FM, and you can catch up with all the regular Sunday FM programming on BBC Sounds later on today. 9 minutes played. It's been busy, and this St James's Park crowd that was willfully silent has erupted into life. Wilson down the right, he's going to give this back to Hayden, who bursts into the penalty area. Fabianski off his line. Now, how much did Craig Dawson do to impede the progress of the Newcastle player chasing that? Well, Martin Atkinson saw no problem with it.
No, it's good defending. Just get your body in the way, make yourself a big target to run round and let Fabianski come out and deal with it. But it is, I know everyone's been sort of talking about it, but just the atmosphere in the stadium, we've missed it so much, haven't we, over the last 18 months. It's just brilliant to be back in a full house.
Souček, edge of the box, it goes behind Bowen, who've taken up a good position on the edge of the penalty area. Newcastle counter, and you can tell it's St Maximin because of the roar from the Newcastle faithful. He's done well to hold it up, and he found Almiron, and he's going to play it wide to the right-hand side, and a shot that's blocked on the edge of the penalty area by Souček. Hayden's going to have another go at getting this in to the feet of Wilson, who holds it up on the edge of the penalty area, and he earns a corner. West Ham not really happy when Newcastle come forward still.
No, Newcastle bombing forward in numbers, aren't they? As soon as the ball goes up to St Maximin there, I mean, Hayden has been in the box 3 times in the last sort of 2 or 3 minutes. He's bombing forward from midfield there. You can see their intentions to hit on the counter-attack.
Yeah. Fernandez has come forward for this corner, and Kraft, 2 of the centre halves. I think Kieran Clark's going to join them as well. Actually, I can't see him, so I assume he's in the big group of Newcastle players around the penalty spot. This is swung in by Almiron, and it's headed up in the air by Souček. Almiron's going to spin away from his man, pursued by the West Ham United right back. Now John Joe Shelby moves away from Bowen, rolls it down the channel. Here's Ritchie with a cross into the penalty area. Fornals can bring it down on the edge of his own box and runs it clear to Antonio. 3-on-3 as West Ham break forward. It's Antonio, Bowen ahead of him. Here he is, Benrahma on the edge of the box. Bowen's been crowded out, but he's done really well to keep this alive. Brilliant from Jared Bowen. Gets some help from Cresswell wide on the left-hand side. He's going to send it across, and stretching is Antonio. He can't get there. Flies out of play. That's West Ham's best moment since the goal, Matt Lockwood.
It is, yeah. It's just disappointing from Cresswell. The quality he's got in his left peg there, you fancy him 9 times out of 10 to pick out Antonio's little move. And he just overhit it, and it was a shame it fizzled out into nothing. But, again, it's positive, isn't it? The ball goes up to Antonio. Interestingly, Hayden dropped off and allowed Antonio to turn. For me, probably, I'm guessing Steve Bruce would have been screaming at him to go tight, to not allow him to turn and start running at you, because that's when Antonio's dangerous. If he can get his head up and start running, using his pace and power, that is when he makes things happen. So he had the opportunity because Hayden dropped off, but unfortunately Cresswell's delivery wasn't quite up to standard.
Back it goes to Fabianski, who launches this long over the halfway line. Kieran Clark leaping to head it over the halfway line. He's going to head it away again. Now Rice collects. Played the whole of 2 games at Euro 2020 and then got subbed by Jordan Henderson for the other 5. Souček on the right. West Ham moving forward. Peeling to this flank is Fornals, who tries a little back heel, but it doesn't fool Kieran Clark, and then Fernandez lifts it to the halfway line where Almiron tries to feed Wilson. Ogbonna steps in and takes it away from Callum Wilson, who then goes all the way back to Ogbonna to Fabianski away to our left. First time they've dealt with a nascent counter-attack from Newcastle properly, and it actually took Ogbonna to kind of take command of the situation.
Yeah, no, there's a little bit of misunderstanding between Almiron and Wilson. Wilson wanted it in behind. Almiron played it to his feet. So, yeah, but like you say, Ogbonna cleared up nicely. And as we know, that's how Newcastle are going to play. They've set up with the 5 at the back. And that's, you know, how they like to play at St James's Park. They accept that, you know, they probably won't have the majority possession, but they'll soak up the pressure and then just hit people with their pace on the counter-attack, and they have got that. You know, Almiron's quick, obviously Wilson's quick, you know, so Maximum's got pace and trickery, so they are a threat, as we've already seen.
1-0 Newcastle lead. Callum Wilson rather inevitably against West Ham. Love scoring on the opening day as well. Was it an opening day hat-trick at Upton Park for Bournemouth many years ago? Bournemouth's first Premier League game. They ran riot against Slaven Bilic's West Ham on the opening afternoon at the old Upton Park, or just Upton Park, because there was no old about. It's not there anymore. Yeah, that was an extraordinary day, and he's carried on. Scored on the opening day of last season for Newcastle against West Ham at West Ham, and he's scored today. Thrown on the far side to be taken by the former Norwich player Jacob Murphy, and he's going to look for perhaps Hayden or Wilson. Clipped back into the Newcastle penalty area, but Woodman's off his line and gathers well, the youngster. They've got a couple of experienced goalkeepers, Newcastle, but Martin Dubravka and Carl Darlow are both not fit for today. Mark Gillespie's very junior as well, the man on the bench for the Magpies as a goalkeeper. The game's been deflated ever so slightly, just a quieter period after what was a rather frenetic opening 5-10 minutes or so. We've now had 15 minutes, and Antonio's trying to bustle his way past Federico Fernandez once again. He's approaching the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. Souček square for Rice, wide to the right, and Cresswell. Fornals a little back heel to find Ben Rama on the edge of the Newcastle box, goes on the outside of Shelby, lifts it across and no one can get there. Souček the closest, couldn't get on the end of it, and he screams in frustration as he makes his way into the Newcastle goal, but the ball had gone. It's going to be a throw to Newcastle on this near side, 1-0.
Yeah, that's the difference between the Newcastle goal and that attack. You know, Ben Rama's done great down the left-hand side, little step over, got past Shelby, but then he was just that quality of cross. He was just too high. You know, if the other end, St Maximum puts it straight on Callum Wilson's forehead,
yeah, and
it's a goal. If Ben Rama's quality had been just slightly better there on the cross, that'd have been a great opportunity for West Ham to equalise.
It really is a ridiculous moment, that St Maximin contribution for the goal, because not only, as you say, he's had his third go at Declan Rice and he's got round him, he's then managed to put the pinpoint cross in.
And normally what you find with players like that their final ball isn't quite as good as normal, because they get so many opportunities to get crosses in. They maybe take it for granted, where some of the less skillful players have to work on their crossing more because they don't get so many opportunities to put balls into the box. But he had everything in that attack, didn't he? Which was
extraordinary.
Apart from Declan Rice's perspective, it was great to watch.
Yes. It was a chastening moment for the England midfielder, and it has played a huge part in giving Newcastle the lead. Soufal goes long, cleared by Clark for Newcastle, out for a throw-in. Soufal's going to take level with the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. It feels like it's kind of mid-evening here at St James's. Very dark, the floodlights are on and they're working quite hard. Here's Souček into Antonio on the edge of the Newcastle penalty area, wide on the right. Oh, he's shredded it for Ben Rama, who thinks about shooting. Offloads to Fornals, and now Cresswell with a low cross into the box, and he's forced in at the far post by Jared Bowen. Then they're coming to congratulate Cresswell, and hold on, there's a flag up. It won't count. They were queuing up at the far post to touch it in. Antonio had a go. Bowen might have completed the actual touch and knock it on. Maybe Cresswell did it all himself. Either way, the flag was up. I presume they'll check it. At the moment, it's still 1-0.
No, I think they're definitely going to check it, but I'm not sure who they're trying to say is offside. I mean, it looked like Bowen sort of ran into the net, but I'm not sure he actually touched the ball until it went over the line.
Right.
I mean, Antonio was in there sliding in. I think there was defenders sliding in. The way they reacted, or the way Cresswell reacted, was he scored.
Yeah, Cresswell ran away with his arms in the air. We're watching it again for the first time on the replay as it's set for Souček, and then it's fed down the left channel for Cresswell, who drives it in, and it's just possible. I think Souček gets a touch. Yeah, Souček puts he thinks he scored as well. Oh, that's very... No, hang on a minute, what about that close? It's a goal! I was going to say there's a foot. I think there's a Newcastle player playing him onside. And the goal is given, and I think Souček does get the touch. Cresswell initially thought he'd scored. Newcastle thought they'd ruled it out. But the big screen on the far side says decision, goal, no offside offence, and it's Newcastle 1, West Ham 1.
It was interesting, it was the angles of the bodies. So, you know, Souček was leaning forward, so his body looked like it was further ahead of the Newcastle player, but the Newcastle player's feet were at a different angle, so he was sort of definitely playing him on. And I think we saw in yesterday's games, the VAR lines have got thicker now, haven't they?
Yes.
To over the summer period, they've obviously been on the weights, and so now we're getting some more goal opportunities, which I think is brilliant. You know, at the end of the day, if that had been chalked off for being a shoelace offside, then, you know, that's not what we want to see.
Benrahma driving forward into the Newcastle penalty area, gets held up. It comes across from Fornals, looking for Bowen, cleared away by Newcastle, who really thought they got away with that one, only to see VAR overturn the offside decision. And it would appear that Aaron Cresswell has scored his first West Ham goal since the winner at Chelsea in November 2019. Famous day that was for West Ham at Stamford Bridge. Brilliant goal by Aaron Cresswell, as I recall, with his right foot. Here's a long ball forward for Newcastle. Wilson the target, one in the air by Dawson. But Cresswell seems to have been awarded it. There was no touch from Souček, and maybe because there was... No, it doesn't work. I'm just trying to... I've seen it a couple of times, but it is all about body shape, isn't it, Matt? And the fact that they've altered the regulation so that it favours the attacking team, and that's why West Ham are on terms here. Newcastle 1, West Ham 1 on BBC Radio London, with Nick Godwin and Matt Lockwood at St James's Park. We've only had 20 minutes.
It's going really quickly. It feels very exciting. There's lots going on.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had 2 goals. We've had an off the line from Almiron. We've had controversy. But it is one each.
But I think, you know, West Ham's, again, the confidence knowing that when they get the ball into the right areas, and they've got that quality to pick out the right cross or the right pass in those final thirds, they didn't need to panic. Even go a goal behind so early on, you know there's always chances coming, especially against Newcastle. No disrespect to them, but, you know, their defence isn't renowned for being sort of holding out solid and keeping clean sheets. So West Ham just needed to be patient to get back in the game, and, you know, that little bit of quality to get the ball out to Cresswell, and he finds the right ball in, and whether it went straight in or Souček's touched it or whoever, you know, it's definitely West Ham have got that swagger.
Benrahma exchanging passes with Antonio. Benrahma goes to ground inside the Newcastle box, and the referee is going to give a goal kick. The West Ham fans are up for a penalty. To be fair, they are an awfully long way from that challenge. I don't think Benrahma had the ball when he went to ground, but this is indicative of the confidence that West Ham have taken since the goal went in.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm quite impressed that the West Hams could even see.
Yeah. Well, they've all got binoculars up there, clearly.
Yeah, you know, as Nick said, they are high up to our left-hand side, and the incident that they were claiming for a penalty was at the complete opposite end of the ground. So they obviously just saw 2 little ants collide.
Yeah, yes.
And
bound to be a penalty.
Claim for a penalty.
Antonio again with craft at close attendance. It's dropped to Fornals, going to feed Bowen, edge of the box. Bowen moves infield, goes past 3. What a run! Oh, what a save by Woodman! That would have been an absolutely magnificent goal by Jarrod Bowen, who had so much work to do. Went past 4 or 5 Newcastle players, but Woodman made himself big and blocked it. Here is Benrahma, edge of the box, goes to ground, tackled by St Maximin, and he's going to run it away for Newcastle, and this is where the counter can be so effective for the Magpies. St Maximin just eats up territory. He's over the halfway line, wide to Almiron on that right side. Gets held up by Rice. What a run from Jared Bowen, Matt Lockwood.
It is. Now there's a bit of a lull in the play. You can talk about it, but
having said that, here's Wilson again, brings it down, tries to get away from Dawson, backheels it straight at Fabianski. Well, I suppose he scores so many goals against West Ham, he can take an opportunity like that, Callum Wilson. It is back to goal, nothing on, tried to backheel it in, but Fabianski blocked it. You said it was a lull, Matt. The game's picked up again, and here's Rice wide to Soufal on the right-hand side. One each here on BBC Radio London. This is Declan Rice on the right-hand side. Into Benrahma. We'll talk about that Bowen chance when we get a chance, as that's fed through to the former Hull man once again. Cleared away by Clark, only as far as Rice. But yeah, I was on my way for a Maradona-esque goal, but it was a good save by the keeper.
No, it was. And when I said about a lull in the game, it was a lull for 2 seconds, yes. And then we're back in. And it just shows how exciting this game is and how end-to-end it is. The fact that we haven't actually got time to talk about an amazing, run and shot from Bowen.
Saint-Maximin dispossessed by Souček. Referee's wave play on. Here's Benrahma wide to Bowen. West Ham looking really dangerous, lifted in across, can't find Souček though, headed away by Fernandez. Almiron back doing some defensive work. West Ham look threatening every time they come forward at the moment.
Yeah, they do. Just going back to that Bowen chance, like you say, Fornals did great, picked him out, and you know what Bowen's going to do. He wants to come back in on his left foot, but he just jinks past one, then another one, then another one. They're all sort of diving in, and the ability to go past players like they're not even there was untrue, and you just want him to roll it in the bottom corner and finish it off, and it'd have been goal of the season so far. But you have to sort of say to Freddie Woodman there, great save. He made himself big and pulled off a great save.
Here come Newcastle. Matt Ritchie down the right into Miguel Almiron, who is faced by Rice. Wide to Ritchie on that left side once again, and there's no way through for the Newcastle wing-back, so he goes back to halfway, and Clark, Saint-Maximin picks it up and almost tempts the West Ham players to try and get it off him. Almiron goes wide to Ritchie, early cross, steered clear by Craig Dawson, who was sent off here last season for West Ham in the defeat. He's already had a couple of chances at set pieces at the other end of the field. It's with Kraft and Saint-Maximin on the halfway line, just ghosts past Benrahma. Saint-Maximin wants to move away from Souček, does so, approaches the edge of the box. He's got so many players around him. He's offloaded to Almiron. It's deflected. It's off the crossbar. Was there a touch from Fabianski? Well, there was a deflection on the way through, actually, which nearly took it away from the goalkeeper. But Almiron strikes the woodwork, and it's a corner to Newcastle.
Yeah, all the West Ham defenders were sucked in to go to the ball when Saint-Maximin had it. Obviously trying to double up on him, triple up on him. He's played it through to Almiron. And Declan Rice, to be fair, has done great coming across and getting the block. But it was so lucky not to go in that top corner. I don't think Fabianski got anywhere near it.
He was scrambling because there was a deflection on the shot, and it changed direction, and he moved across to his left. Here's the corner, lifted in and brought down by Clark with his back to goal. Tries to turn away from Dawson. Dawson does enough to restrict Clark, whose shot in the end hits the side netting. Newcastle having a little spell. It really ebbs and flows, this game, doesn't it? West Ham have a spell of attacking and pressure and looking really threatening. David Moyes has just said to Vladimir Soufal, sorry, come here, Vladimir, we're going to have a little chat. No, beg your pardon, it's Jared Bowen who's speaking to. Just wants to have a word with the 24-year-old on the right-hand side. Didn't score too many goals towards the end of last season, but he had this incredible spell in March, April, where he scored 3 goals in 3 games against Arsenal, Wolves and Leicester, and then didn't score again. Came very close earlier today. Here's a ball forward by Ritchie, controlled by Almiron on that left-hand side. Wilson waiting for a cross. Ritchie tries to receive the ball from Almiron. He takes a heavy touch, and it bounces off him and out for a goal kick, which Fabianski is going to take. 27 minutes played here on the home of London football. You're listening to BBC Radio London, and it is Newcastle 1, West Ham 1. Callum Wilson putting Newcastle in front after 4.5 minutes, after a brilliant piece of skill from Alain Saint-Maximin down the right to get the cross in. West Ham equalising 14 minutes later. Aaron Cresswell drilling the ball across the penalty area from left to right. A host of players try to get on the end of it, including Souček and Bowen. Neither of them actually did touch it before it crossed the line. It was ruled out for offside initially, and then VAR overturned the decision. Up goes Souček, but it goes out of play off Hayden for a throw-in, which Cresswell's going to take on that far side. It has been a action-packed opening half an hour or so, and we hoped it would be on this opening Sunday of the Premier League season. And not just any old opening Sunday, an opening Sunday with fans back in at the new White Hart Lane, fans back in at St James's Park. And it's the West Ham fans, the travelling West Ham fans we can hear. That's what's really been missing, because we have had a few fans in over the course of the last 18 months, Tier 4 and so on and so forth. Here's Cresswell with a cross, looking for Souček, headed behind by Clark for West Ham's third corner. Yes, there have been a few experiments with fans in, but what we haven't had for 18 months is away fans. And that's what's so different about this. Away to our left, you can hear the West Ham fans giving their team an awful lot of support.
And that's obviously why the players are up in their game, and it's just a higher tempo. You can see it out there. It's just a different game than what it has been over the last 18 months.
Soufal with the left-footed corner delivery, flicked on by Rice, and then Souček goes for it, and he can't quite make the contact he would have wanted. If he'd have planted that header, it surely would have gone in. Clever flick by Rice at the near post.
Yeah, it was a training ground set piece, that one, wasn't it? The bow into the near post for Rice to flick it on, and it worked perfectly up until the finishing touch.
Another chance in this game, full of opportunity and incident. Declan Rice collects this inside his own half of the field. West Ham with the bulk of possession. Newcastle are set up as a counter-attacking side, and they've been quite effective at it in the opening half an hour or so, but I think these fans inside St James's, they want to see their team on the ball more, especially now that West Ham have come back to one each. Clark clears. There's an interception there by Souček, and here's Craig Dawson inside his own half of the field. Angelo Ogbonna at the back for the Hammers, and Souček, who's proved to be such a brilliant signing for West Ham when he arrived a season and a half ago. I still maintain that West Ham's slow reversal in fortunes coincides almost exactly with Thomas Souček's arrival at the football club. He has been a revelation, and he is one of the main reasons why West Ham find themselves with rising expectation in the Premier League. Here's Fornals, little ball in for Benrahma, edge of the box, he shoots. It's blocked as far as Fornals, who drives it towards goal, and it's not actually that close to goal in the end. It goes wide, but more pressure from West Ham United, and a goal kick for Freddie Woodman to take. He's 24 years of age. It's his first first Newcastle Premier League appearance, I should say. He has 4 FA Cup appearances for the Magpies, and he was on loan at Swansea for the last couple of years, so he's had plenty of football. His dad's the manager of Bromley these days. Used to be on the coaching staff here at Newcastle with Alan Pardew. Here's St Maximin again, going forward, full of go, and Bowen thought he'd taken it off him, but St Maximin manages to hold on to possession. This goes wide to Murphy on the right-hand side for the home team. Kraft is Hayden rather's overlapping, and he wins a throw-in 10 yards from the West Ham corner flag down their right. Murphy takes it quickly, given to Emil Kraft, the Swede who bustles forward. St Maximin sets it back to that side. The cross is deflected, and then Kraft wants to win a corner off Benrahma, and he does so. West Ham have a phase, Newcastle have a phase. Newcastle's third corner of the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. When Newcastle get the ball wide, Wilson's the only player in the box. So West Ham sort of maybe for the first goal they probably switched off, thinking, oh, there's only one guy in the box.
Yeah,
you've got him, I'm spare, and then he just makes those darting little runs in between. So the West Ham back four definitely have to communicate with each other, pass him on to make sure they're all aware of where Callum Wilson's running.
Corner swung in towards the near post, headed over the top by Kieran Clark.
I think there was a clash of heads there as well.
Yeah, a few players looking a bit dazed. Ogbonna is taking a moment, and Dawson's also having a moment, and Craig Dawson's one of those characters who doesn't like to show that he's been hurt, but he got a whack there, possibly from his own player. Danger over for West Ham. They're headed over the top. Newcastle 1, West Ham 1, with 12.5 minutes of this fabulous first half to go. Lots to talk about, lots of big opportunities, lots of brilliant bits of skill, and a big role to play for these two sets of supporters. It's the West Ham fans you can hear at the moment, as their team are back in it at 1 each. The complexities of the political situation at Newcastle continue to fascinate. Whenever you come up here, you always try and update yourself on what's going on and what the various issues are, but it never seems an entirely comfortable ship, I must say. Here's Soufal, right side for West Ham, down the channel. Bowen had dropped deeper, so he's not able to get on the end of that. And it goes out for a goal kick, which Freddie Woodman's going to take. It can't be easy being the manager of Newcastle, or being a Newcastle fan for that matter, because there always seems to be not necessarily a permanent state of crisis, but on the brink of a... It doesn't take much for a kind of a deep malaise to sort of bed in here. When you've got so many people, most of whom are kind of unhappy about things, not a straightforward situation to operate in.
No, it seems like they've been unhappy at Newcastle for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
There's never been a time when you come here and everything's like rosy and you know, there's not a lot going on. It's whether it's a failed takeover or they want the manager out or whatever. There's always something negative here, which is such a shame because it's such a great place.
Murphy shoots over.
Yeah, but like as we were saying, it's such a great place for football.
Yeah.
And you know, and Newcastle, absolutely. I know they haven't got really any sort of like local rivals in the Premier League at the moment. You know, they're such a big club, and you just think, right, why can't you get it right off the pitch? What is wrong? I wonder.
I mean, there are many people better positioned than me to talk about this because, you know, I'm an occasional visitor to this part of the world, but you know, Newcastle is a one-club town, and the scrutiny is, I understand at any rate, at times can be absolutely overwhelming, and there isn't that kind of diluted level of expectation that we get in our city in particular because, you know, there are so many football clubs in London, and there's always someone else having a worse time than you, I suppose. Afternoon, Arsenal fans, if you're enjoying your Sunday, I hope you are. Whereas here the scrutiny is microscopic because there is just this one team and this enormous stadium that kind of, if you ever come here to Newcastle, I'm sure many of you have, the stadium kind of towers over the centre of town. It's almost like the centre of the city is in the shadow of St James's Park. Not a great deal happening on the field at the moment. Saint-Maximin has it on the halfway line. This might suit West Ham, I don't know. David Moyes will be relatively happily with the opening 35 minutes or so.
I think so, yeah. I think obviously the pace of the game could never continue the way it was going. You know, don't get me wrong, the atmosphere was a big part of that, but now it's sort of calmed down to a bit of a midfield battle.
Benrahma pops up, edge of the Newcastle penalty area. In fact, he's popped up in an offside position. The flag goes up. Away to our right, he was fed by Antonio, and again, just as Matt had said, he used the word lull, I think, and the moment he used the word lull, Antonio kind of jabbed it forward. It looked as though Benrahma might have been in for a second. Even though it is quieter and less intense, you can't take your eyes off it. Soufal back defending, Almiron goes in strongly. First little ripple of applause for a while for the hard-working Miguel Almiron.
And he doesn't stop running, does he?
No, they love him here.
A little Duracell bunny.
Yeah,
runs around all day, bless him.
Having said, you know, there's a bit of disquiet here. They do love Almiron. I remember him scoring here a couple of seasons ago against Palace, and it was his first Newcastle goal. They went absolutely crazy for him. Here's Souček coming forward for West Ham. 1 each on Radio London. Here's Cresswell, the goal scorer, bustles past one defender and wants to try and get on the end of the loose ball, but it rolls out of play. Goal kick, says Martin Atkinson. And David Moyes is just having a chat with his coaching staff, actually. There seems to be a moment in both managers are consulting their coaching staff. Massively experienced these days, Steve Bruce and David Moyes. Managed all over the place. But you wouldn't... Before David Moyes came to West Ham, you wouldn't have thought it was a round peg in a round hole, but actually there is a tremendous fit there, and what he did with Everton all those years he appears to be kind of replicating you know, the consistent. Well, so we haven't had him hit London Stadium for very long, but he's had an effect certainly, and they are a very, very different kettle of fish to perhaps the last couple of years, particularly under Pellegrini and the end of the Bilic years. But he's barking some instructions at the moment as he watches Newcastle come forward, and the pace has dropped by about 50%. It's stopped raining. I don't know where. I mean, Matt was extolling the virtues of the rain a bit earlier. I don't know whether the fact that it's dried off means that the temperature's gone down a little bit, or Gentleman's just taken a tumble as he wanders up towards us. I don't know if it's the slippery conditions underfoot. These grounds have been empty for so long, it really is wonderful to see them full. Shelvey finds Almiron, who swings it wide to Ritchie, who's taken up a good position down the left-hand side for Newcastle. In comes across towards the far post. Important flick away by Cresswell. St. Maximin picks up the loose ball. Rice is dealing with him. I hesitate to say that with any confidence, but he has dealt with him this time. And he's now going to play this downfield for Antonio. Newcastle win it back. Then in goes Antonio once again. Murphy collects for Newcastle. Breaks in field to the corner of the West Ham penalty area. Shelby with a really good whipped-in cross. Important header away by Soufal at the far post. Ritchie was steaming in, but Soufal read the run. Now here's Wilson bundling his way into the West Ham box once again. They've made a bit of a mess of that. There's a West Ham player on the ground. It's Soufal who's taken a knock to the head. He's clambered back up to his feet. Newcastle still in possession. Ritchie down the left-hand side. Almiron on the flank. Newcastle trying to generate a little bit of intensity. One each here with 5 minutes to go before the break. Here's Fernandez, Ritchie, Shelvey into the centre of the pitch, and St. Maximin renewing his duel with Rice. Offloads to Ritchie. He's been challenged by Bowen. Loose ball's collected by Clark. West Ham can't get rid of it. Almiron twists onto his right foot, then his left. Ritchie overlapping to the touchline. In comes across towards the far post, and it's headed in! Headed in by Murphy, and Newcastle are back ahead. The wing-back got forward, and Ritchie got on the end of the cross. It was almost on the edge of the box. It travelled a very long way, but Jacob Murphy has put Newcastle back in front with 4.5 minutes to go. Newcastle 2, West Ham 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great cross in from Ritchie, but yeah, Murphy was just completely unmarked. I don't think anyone sort of looked at him to think, oh, he's a danger. He was just stood still, didn't even make that much of a run. And I think he was more surprised than anyone else that he ended up scoring.
He just stole in, Murphy. The cross seemed to elude everybody. They get the chance to see it again. It's a good delivery by Ritchie, and David Moyes will be unhappy that the 2 goals have come from crosses. But yeah, Ritchie overlaps, gets the cross in, and where is Murphy? There he is at the far post. There's nothing happening, and he's just nodded it in, and he's got enough power generated because he's not being marked. I think Fabianski sees it very late, and it goes in the corner, and it's put Newcastle back in front.
Yeah, I think Fabianski was expecting Dawson to maybe swing a leg at it to clear it, so he sort of left it. Dawson's left it, and it's gone in the back post. I mean, literally about 5 seconds before the goal, West Ham actually sort of won the ball back, and lost possession, and Moyes went mad on the side of the pitch, because they could have literally launched it anywhere, but they tried to pass their way out, which obviously is the way that these guys play at the moment. But they lost it right on the edge of the box and invited that pressure again. And yeah, it's obviously led to a goal.
It doesn't feel as though Newcastle are 2-1 up though with the atmosphere, does it? It's gone a bit flat again.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's a weird one, but so Maximin's on it again now, as you can tell by the reaction the fans are giving.
He does get them going, and he's surging through the middle of the field. Wilson with him. Here's Callum Wilson onto his right foot. The shot's blocked by Dawson, and Benrahma clears only as far as Ritchie. Well, to be fair to Newcastle, they tried to build some momentum and they got the goal, which is one of the things that's perhaps been missing from the approach, as St. Maximin is well challenged by Ogbonna, ends up on the floor, no foul given. Steve Bruce is convinced it's a free kick. That's been intercepted by Kieran Clark. And Newcastle are back in front, but there's no tidal wave of emotion. Again, you know, you'd have thought first game with fans back properly, 50,000 people in, Newcastle taking the lead, there'd be a tide of emotion swirling around St James's Park. Not really.
Maybe there is, we're just used to it now.
Maybe, yeah, it's taken that long to be like, yeah, it's just crowds, everything's back. Here's Soufal coming forward for West Ham once again, who trailed 2-1. Ben Rama's cross is deflected. It's going to be a corner to the Hammers. 2 minutes of the first half to go. Newcastle 2, West Ham 1. Jared Bowen's going to take this, and West Ham have looked a threat from set pieces so far in this half. Bowen's left-footed in-swinger. Rice, Ogbonna and Dawson all forward. Souček's a real threat from these as well. This goes far post. Ogbonna can't get on the end of it. He's having a wrestling match with Wilson. Ogbonna collects the loose ball on the far side. Fornals gives it to Cresswell. This cross by Cresswell is headed away powerfully by Fernandez. Comes out to Soufal. Little dink ball headed away once again as far as Fornals, who lifts in another cross headed clear by Clark. Bowen collects it on the edge of the box. Here's Ben Rama with a chance to shoot. Does shoot just wide. Well, he had a bit of space on the edge of the D and made use of it. Woodman flung himself to his right. I think he had it covered. It's 2-1 to Newcastle.
Yeah, he did have it covered, but it was a good effort from Ben Rama. You could see what he was trying to do. He didn't really go and smash it. He was trying to just like whip one in the bottom corner. It was only a few inches wide, but you know, again, it's a positive response from West Ham. You know, they haven't let their heads drop, where I think maybe in previous years they would do. If they go behind, they'd be like, oh, here we go again. We're letting another goal. Where I think just that. The season last year has just proved to them that they're always in games. And I know they did go through a spate, didn't they, where they were like 3-0 up and then they were getting drawn back. But I think they realise that they've got goals in their team. And even though they're missing Lingard and you know, players like that, they still know that they can create chances and score goals. So even though they're 2-1 down, they can get back into this in the blink of an eye.
Thrown on the far side. And we're going to have 2 added minutes at the end of this first 45 minutes for West Ham of the 2021-2022 season. This is thrown downfield for Wilson, who does want to hold it up initially. Hayden's in there as well. Hayden's won this back. Murphy, the goal scorer, given to Shelvey, all the way back to Woodman. Right-footed clips this over the halfway line. Ogbonna has been slightly found out there by Wilson, and Almiron breaks into the penalty area and wins a corner. Another great counter by Newcastle. And yeah, for the first time really, Callum Wilson left Ogbonna in the dust.
It looked like a foul, to be fair. Like Ogbonna sort of seemed to get in front of Wilson. Wilson just gave him a little nudge as the ball was about 5 yards away. You'd like Ogbonna to be stronger than that, I must admit. He's a big bruising centre half. You'd like for him not to be pushed off the ball that easily, but you know, it was allowed to go on, and then Almiron used his pace to get in behind. And I think West Ham were actually unlucky, because I think by the looks of it, Cresswell played the ball onto Almiron and then it went off for a goal kick, but the ref gave a corner.
In comes the corner, and it's headed away powerfully at the near post by Souček. Lifted back into the box. Dawson this time with the imposing header. Comes back now, but Kraft on the half volley over the top. Well, that was sweetly struck by the Newcastle defender, and he just couldn't quite get the whip required to beat Fabianski. It flew over the goal frame. Still 2-1 to the home side.
Yeah, I think West Ham were fortunate that fell to a centre half there.
Here's Antonio. Out wide to Fornals. West Ham coming forward, looking threatening again. Antonio holds it up on the edge of the penalty area. 4 around him. Still going though. An important foot in by Hayden, and then there's a foul. No, there isn't. It's half time. And a ripple of contented applause around St James's Park, because Newcastle lead West Ham by 2 goals to 1 here on BBC Radio London at half time. All eyes back here on St James's Park, with fans back in and away fans as well. And it is Newcastle who get us started for the second 45 minutes with their back three starting to make their way towards the halfway line. The rain has held off once again just for a few moments as this is played forward by Wilson, and then Ogbonna is going to steer it back to Fabianski, who has to get rid of it in a hurry. And West Ham have repelled that first attack by the home side, who lead 2-1. The lineups: Freddie Woodman in goal for Newcastle, we'll do them in a second, but Lucas Fabianski is in goal for West Ham. Here goes Saint-Maximin once again on the right hand side, gets forced wide and then comes back and sends it across towards the far post. That is not one of Alan Saint-Maximin's better deliveries. We saw a brilliant one at the start of the first half. That wasn't a great one at the start of the second. So Fabianski in goal for West Ham, a back four of Soufal, Dawson, Ogbonna and Cresswell, Souček and Rice in the middle, Bowen, Fornals and Benrahma playing behind Antonio. Woodman in goal for Newcastle, Clark, Fernandez and Kraft the back three, Murphy and Ritchie wide, Shelvey and Hayden in the middle, Almiron, Wilson and Saint-Maximin up front. On the bench for West Ham: Areola, Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Noble, Diop, Fredericks, Johnson, Coventry and Baptiste. And for Newcastle: Gillespie, Shah, Lascelles, Joe Linton, Lewis, Hendrick, Fraser, Gale and Sean Longstaff. Back it goes to Woodman, away to our left, and once again there isn't the broiling atmosphere that one might expect from Newcastle fans, but again I understand it is complicated. They're not terribly impressed with the summer transfer dealings, even though Joe Willock looks as though he's going to make the move from Arsenal. This goes back to Fernandez for Newcastle on the edge of his own penalty area. Matt Lockwood's alongside me, Mick Godwin for commentary, and Newcastle have come out quite a business-like fashion in the opening few moments.
Yep, they've just got possession, they're knocking it around at the back nice and patiently, just waiting for the opportunity to go forward to show itself. But again, West Ham won't be too fussed about that, because they can nick it in, quite high up the pitch and then try and attack like they are now.
Here's Antonio, gets it across, stabbed away for a throw-in. West Ham trying to keep it alive. It's with Rice and now Fornals, 25 yards from goal. Ogbonna takes over. Rice, Cresswell down the channel. Fornals pops up, given to Cresswell again, and he's offside, Benrahma, as he's fed by Cresswell, and David Moyes looks away rather disappointedly, and it's going to be a free kick. Again, I don't want to take away from the positivity from a West Ham perspective, but just looking at that bench, if there were ways of refreshing things from an attacking point of view, I suppose it's Yarmolenko or Lanzini, isn't it, really, as far as senior players are concerned. He hasn't got a huge number of options if the front line isn't working out. It's Antonio plus whoever's going to get up there and support him.
This is it, and that like we were saying before the game there, with the transfer sort of dealings that haven't happened. West Ham do need another striker, someone that's going to have the abilities or capabilities of scoring those 12-15 goals a season. You look at teams like Man United, and when they bring in Cavani and players like that, where's West Ham in that sort of market? That's when you sort of look at it and think, right, have they got the actual strength in depth to be able to compete with those top four, top six, the Tottenham's, Arsenal's, Leicester's of this world? That's the only question mark over it, and any injuries, then I think they're struggling.
Headed away by Clark for Newcastle to the halfway line. Hayden brings it down. Rice has got armfuls of him there. Lifted down the channel. Callum Wilson, West Ham's tormentor-in-chief, chasing it, but he can't make anything of that, and the assistant referee right in front of him gives a throw in which Aaron Cresswell is going to take. 5 second half minutes played. Not the most dramatic opening 5 minutes of a second half, you'll find. Antonio is going to collect this deep inside his own half, and he's gone to ground. John Joe Shelvey is penalised for kind of hanging on to Antonio. John Joe Shelvey says, I think that's nonsense, referee, or words to that effect. It's going to be a free kick to West Ham, which they play short. Dawson goes back to Ogbonna. And now Rice, Cresswell, and Fornals to Rice once again. Benrahma takes over. He's got Almiron at him. Benrahma's gone past Shelvey, and then Shelvey catches him, and that's going to be the first yellow card. Benrahma had left John Joe Shelvey in the mud and the grass of the St James's Park surface there, and he got caught. Free kick to West Ham, quite central, 35 yards from goal.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity right in the middle of the goal. Cresswell's putting the ball down. He fancies it. It's a long way out. He's probably looking at 30 yards. But we know he's got the capabilities. He's done it in the past. So the West Ham fans are expecting. They're hoping, trying to get a suck it in from at the top of the stand there.
Yeah, those fans are expectant. Benrahma and Cresswell looking at this. He's very central, so it could favour either Benrahma's right foot or Cresswell's left. Either of them will strike this. The wall's on the edge of the D. It's Cresswell, and he gets it over the wall and over the top. Goal kick.
He didn't get any dip on it. Just got the power, but no dip. So it was never going to come back down after striking it like that. Disappointing, because we know he's got that in the locker.
Yeah.
We've seen it in the past. He does it every season. He will be disappointed with that one.
Well, he just said he doesn't get many goals. He scored against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge almost 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago, and he's got one today. I think Bowen initially was awarded the goal, as Rice does well to win it back for West Ham, and now Bowen attacks the edge of the box. He's going to slide it through to Antonio, can't quite control it, chases it to the byline, gets it across, and Benrahma heads in the equaliser for West Ham from a great little cross by Antonio from the left, and Saïd Benrahma, unmarked, nodded it past Woodman to the delight of the West Ham fans away to the left-hand side. 7 second half minutes played. The Hammers back on terms again at St James's Park. Newcastle 2, West Ham 2.
Yeah, Antonio did great there. The ball got played into him, and it was bouncing. It was really hard at him, and he had a great touch with his sort of, probably his wrong foot actually. He's coming from, so he should have really controlled with his left foot, but he's tried to control with his right foot, and he just managed to use his pace, keep it in, dink it back to the far post, and Benrahma was steaming at the back post. And yeah, he was never going to miss from there. Similar to the Newcastle goal, it was just on a plate for him. And yeah, he 6 yards out, headed it down into the ground. Woodman had no chance.
Yeah, it was a well executed. So keepers can't do anything with them. It's his second West Ham goal, say Benrahma, since signing from Brentford permanently in January. And those Newcastle fans who were fidgety even when their team were 2-1 up. You can hear the kind of from the Newcastle supporters when Benrahma nodded West Ham level once again. You're listening to BBC Radio London. We're live on digital radio this afternoon from St James's. Newcastle have gone in front twice today, and West Ham have levelled up twice. Here's St Maximin, rolls it wide to Murphy on the right for Newcastle. It comes across, well gathered by Fabianski. Wilson was homing in on it, and the West Ham goalkeeper had to work fast.
Yeah, Fabianski did really well there. That's the difference between a really good goalkeeper. No disrespect to Woodman at the other end, but that ball gets played into the 6-yard box. The Newcastle defence aren't sure what he's going to do. Where West Ham, the defence know that Fabianski's going to command that 6-yard box, and he did brilliantly there.
Hayden for Newcastle, who found themselves pegged back again, gets it back from Ritchie, and he advances towards the edge of the West Ham penalty area, gets in a cross. It's awkward here for Cresswell, who chests it back to Fabianski. He knew that he had Murphy behind him. There was an awful lot of shall we say, eye contact between left back and goalkeeper.
There was, but apart from the Newcastle fans, the West Ham players knew that they had it under control. Cresswell knew what he was going to do, and he did it very well.
Fabianski, cool as you like, gathered it. It's now cleared. Murphy heads it up in the air. Rice is in the thick of things once more. Fornals finds Benrahma. Wide to Antonio on the left, running at the edge of the penalty area. Rolls it square. Bowen tries to control it in the D, but fails. And it's lifted clear by Matt Ritchie. And then Dawson gets himself in a bit of a pickle and concedes a throw-in, which is quickly taken by Wilson. And now St Maximin gets away from his man. Edge of the penalty area. Brilliant control. He's going one way then the other. Across it goes! And I think Fabianski got something on it to stop it from getting through the craft. Here's a shot by Murphy that's blocked away. Almiron's going to get there. It was Ritchie, sorry, who got in the box. And St Maximin caused havoc once again. Dawson barely knew what day it was as he was taken one way then the other. The cross came in, and I think the goalkeeper did just enough to take it away from Ritchie. Again,
I mean, St Maximin's virtually unplayable. When he gets the ball in the penalty box, you can't make a tackle because you know that if you slightly mistime it, he's going to go down. And Dawson, you just feel so sorry for him. He's getting twisted inside and out, and Fabianski did brilliantly there to get a hand to that and avert it from going directly onto the foot of a Newcastle centre forward.
Here's the corner headed away by Dawson. Good delivery from that side by Shelvey. Dawson made a really important intervention. Here's Murphy's cross towards Shelvey. Soufal clears. Almiron with the shot, acrobatically blocked by Jared Bowen, who flew through the air almost kung fu style. Now St Maximin's cross. It's very nearly touched in by Wilson. My goodness, it's all happening, and finally St James's Park comes to life.
Well, you can see why. It's a good passage of play there for Newcastle. West Ham are under severe pressure, but in all fairness, they defended well, throwing bodies on the line, like you said. Bowen there to throw himself in front of that volley from Almiron was brilliant, and that's what you want to see your forwards doing, putting your body on the line to keep the scoreline the way it is.
Well, it's brought this crowd to life. And now Lucas Fabianski's being a little bit naughty, re-spotting the football, possibly wasting a little time. He's enjoying the theatre of it all. Here's Cresswell. Benrahma sets it back now for Declan Rice, who moves forward and offloads to Souček. Wide to Soufal on the right. He's being chased by Ritchie, back to halfway. Dawson takes over. Two sets of fans almost competing with each other. Again, it's a noise we've not heard for many, many months in these parts. Soufal again on the right. That's a foul by Ritchie on Bowen. Free kick West Ham, 10 yards inside the Newcastle half of the field. If you've only just joined us, it's 2-2. Salih Benrahma heading in to level matters once again, cancelling out Jacob Murphy's header. Aaron Cresswell earlier on cancelling out the strike from Callum Wilson. Fernandez lifts it over the top. Wilson brings it down brilliantly and charges down the right. Cresswell's with him. St Maximin wants it played square, but Murphy takes over on the right-hand side. Cresswell dealing with him too. It's been taken away from Wilson by Fornals, and then Rice goes marching purposefully towards the halfway line. Help from Soufal into the feet of Antonio, turns well, wide to Bowen. West Ham starting to purr. Bowen approaches the edge of the penalty area, goes on the outside of his man and wins a corner off Clark. Just got the feeling West Ham were in their stride there, Matt.
Yeah, definitely. They look ominous going forward, don't they? I mean, again, it was good defending by Newcastle. Two defenders throwing themselves in the way of a Bowen cross. But you can just feel another goal, I think, coming for West Ham.
Here is the corner. 50,673 inside St James's Park for the first time for a very, very long time. Here's the corner delivery. Bowen takes it. It swings in towards Dawson, headed away as far as Benrahma. His cross hits St Maximin, flies up in the air, and then Ritchie, has he caught Bowen on the edge of the box? No. Well, that's either a foul or it's simulation, really. isn't it? I mean, he's got to book Bowen there, because at the moment he's given a goal kick and Bowen has flung himself to the ground. Either there was contact or there wasn't.
I mean, the way Bowen's reacting on the floor, he's either an unbelievable actor or he's actually got caught on the inside of his thigh. It looks like he's just sort of like rubbing his thigh as though it was a sort of stud marks maybe caught him. Because that's, I mean, it's a bit of a tender place to get caught. Yeah, and I'll just say the replay, it's definite contact. That should have been a free kick.
I said he's not done either there, Martin Atkinson. It's either, I mean, he's saying, by not giving a free kick, he's saying to Bowen, you've dived.
Yeah, and he definitely didn't. That looked like he saw one on the replay.
Yeah, well, I'm sure if he wants to, he can present Martin Atkinson with the evidence if necessary. Here's Fornals breaking forward for West Ham once again, central position. Bowen's outside him. Fornals has been forced wide. Help arrives in the shape of Declan Rice. Cresswell takes over on that flank. Here's Ben Rama. Exchanges passes with Cresswell. Ben Rama again onto his right foot. Square for Fornals. It's a little dink ball. Soufal's in round the back and he turns it across goal. Oh, it's hit the crossbar from Antonio, and then Fornals goes down, and it's a penalty to West Ham, who very nearly made it 3-2 when Antonio struck the woodwork. But then it did look as though Fornals might have been caught by Murphy inside the penalty area. Martin Atkinson had a view of that and has pointed to the spot.
Yeah, Fornals did great to start off with. He's played a fantastic little ball over to Coufal, who made a run in behind Ritchie. And Coufal's cross, he's played it that fast, he nearly knocked Antonio off his feet. And he was actually lucky just to get the header on top, to go against the post. And as it dropped, obviously, Stonewall penalty. I'm presuming they're checking it on VAR, but 100% it was a penalty.
The graphics come up, so there will be a pause. You get the chance to see that again, Matt, the penalty. It did look like a foul to me.
Yeah, it does, even from the replay. I mean, it's not the best angle in the world, but Antonio's got the ball, and great opportunity now for West Ham to take the lead.
2-2 on BBC Radio London. We've got just under half an hour to play at St James's Park, and West Ham, who've trailed twice in the game, may well have the chance to put themselves in front for the first time this afternoon. They're still checking the penalty. Matt Lockwood's had a look at it, said it looked like a penalty the first time. I haven't seen it, but I gave it as such with the naked eye, and it is a penalty. And Michail Antonio is going to have the chance to put West Ham 3-2 up. Freddie Woodman on his line. Antonio, it's been saved, and it comes down to Souček, and he puts West Ham in front. Freddie Woodman saved the spot kick, but Thomas Souček on the follow-up smashes it into the net and sends those West Ham fans crazy away to our left. It's a great stop by the goalkeeper, but Souček, so alert, blasts it in, and West Ham take the lead for the first time this afternoon at St James's. Newcastle 2, West Ham 3.
Yeah, in all fairness to Antonio, he had a long time to wait for that. The Newcastle players were surrounding him, putting him off, saying stuff to him, which does get into your head. It wasn't the best penalty in the world, but like you say, it was a great save from Woodman. But that's what you need. You need your players following up, just in case. And Souček there was in the right place at the right time, and he smashed it in and put West Ham in front, and I think they thoroughly deserve it.
It has been a curious game. It's been a great game, full of excitement, but at no point have Newcastle really settled into their lead on either of the two occasions in which they've been in front. And maybe that gives us an insight into the difficulties and the frustrations that some of these Newcastle supporters have.
Yeah, of course, but it's funny because when Newcastle go ahead, you fancy West Ham to get back in the game. Now West Ham have gone ahead, I'm not sure how Newcastle will react to that.
Well, exactly, yeah.
And also with the fans here as well now, what's their reaction going to be? It's the first time they've been behind. I'll be intrigued to see what the atmosphere is like now. Obviously, we can hear the West Ham fans are very happy, but apart from that, it seems fairly quiet.
Here's Rice. West Ham pouring bodies forward again. Fornals turns it wide to Rice, into Ben Rama inside the penalty area, taken away from him by Shelvey and through to Woodman. Well, they've scored 3 goals again, West Ham, and they scored 3 or more goals in 11 matches last season. Only Manchester City and Manchester United scored 3 or more times if you're still with me, than West Ham. They are capable, and they might have another chance here because Bowen's won it, and he's surging forward, and he goes to goal, and it's saved by Woodman. He pushes it up into the air to take the sting out of it, and then grabs the ball. Now Shelvey surges forward for Newcastle. The fans will be desperate for a response. Don't forget they've taken the lead twice in this game. Saint-Maximin bursting forward. They'll need his inspiration if they're going to get something out of this. Here's Murphy, the other goal scorer for Newcastle today. Hayden tries to go round Cresswell. He's done well there, Isaac Hayden. And he does get a cross in, but Souček, the man who put West Ham 3-2 up, has cleared. Antonio, who missed the penalty, has set it back for Bowen. Benrahma on the halfway line has the chance to run at the defence, and Antonio's galloping forward. Here's the pass. Antonio's through. Chance of four. What a goal! What a brilliant strike by Michail Antonio. Hammers West Ham into a 4-2 lead here. They did Newcastle on the counter. Benrahma's pass was perfect, and Antonio, the new West Ham number 9, made no mistake. It is Newcastle 2, West Ham 4.
And interestingly enough, Antonio started that move on the edge of his box. He held the ball up, he flicked the ball over John Joe Shelvey's head. He was strong, he set it back, and then he's made a 70-yard run to get on the end of that pass. So to have the, in the 66th minute, to have the strength to hold off a centre half and to keep the ball, keep possession, and then to make that run, and then to have the composure to finish at the end of it, it's fantastic. And that just shows, the confidence and the ability that this West Ham team have got. And it's why that, David Moyes knows that they can potentially have what it takes to maybe break into that top 4 this season.
Well, there may be in excess of 50,000 people inside this ground, but I'm looking along the Gallagher end of this ground and over on the far side and behind us. Not a lot of noise coming from any section of this ground except the 3,000 fans away to our left. Saint-Maximin moves forward once again for Newcastle, who find themselves 4-2 down, having led twice. Ritchie, corner of the West Ham box, clips in a cross. Saint-Maximin the target, and Fabianski just sees it over. I think it's a goal kick. 2 goals in 5 minutes in this second half. Well, no, I suppose you'd say 3 goals really in this second half. Turn things around for the Hammers. Benrahma, Souček and Antonio put West Ham 4-2 up. And if it is to be a season in which the Hammers really do trouble the very top spots in the Premier League, this is quite a way to get things started. I mean, there's a little way to go yet. We've still got a quarter of the match left. But you said that West Ham, now they're in front. There's the challenge for Newcastle. Can they chase the game and get back into it? At the moment, the answer's no.
It doesn't look like they even think they can. Just the body language when the cross went behind the goal there. The Newcastle players are all looking at the ground and in disappointment rather than sort of like expectation of being able to actually create something and get back into this.
Benrahma on the right for West Ham. He goes down looking for a free kick. Martin Atkinson's not buying that. West Ham still have possession, and Newcastle look like a team that have had the life sucked out of them. Those 2 goals in the last 5 minutes have really done some damage. It's back with Ogbonna. So Maximon's barely touched the ball in the last 15 minutes or so. Declan Rice is striding forward on that right flank, given to Bowen. You wouldn't bet against another goal for West Ham in the mood they're in. Soufal goes hurtling forward. Oh, he's just trapped it, and it's gone underneath his feet and rolled out of play for a goal kick to be taken by Freddie Woodman. And John Joe Shelvey is coming off for Ryan Fraser in the first change of the game for Newcastle. Smattering of applause for Shelvey. Yeah, it's been pointed out to me on social media. It's almost as though the Newcastle fans kind of couldn't get that excited about leading 1-0 and leading 2-1, Matt, because they thought, well, chances are we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and again, I think that's just the we know that Newcastle is fragile on and off the pitch at the moment. like I say, just never seems like a really sort of like happy place here, which is such a shame for the surroundings that we're in. They always underachieve.
Murphy down the right-hand side for Newcastle. 4-3 and it'll be interesting. Here's Murphy's cross. Wilson almost gets on the end of it. He can't turn the shot into the net. Comes back to Ritchie. Here's Fraser, who's just come on. Ritchie again on that side. Wants a yard of space to get across him. Will now get across him, but it's charged down. And Bowen clears the danger. It's Newcastle 2, West Ham 4. 3 second-half goals for the Hammers have turned this game around. We've still got 20 minutes to go.
And I think even with that change that Newcastle have made there, Shelby coming off with Fraser going on, I think that will actually give West Ham more opportunities to break on the counter-attack, because Newcastle are obviously going to throw the kitchen sink at them. I think there'll be lots of gaps for the pace of Bowen, Benrahma and Antonio to exploit now.
Iron Brother blowing bubbles comes tumbling down from the West Ham fans' high vantage point. And Newcastle have possession inside their own half of the field. It's going to be collected by Fernandez. So Ryan Fraser's been brought on and he's playing further forward than Shelby. I think it looks like Almiron has dropped back. It's almost kind of 3-3-4 sort of.
I think Hayden's just going to sit in front of the in front of the sort of like the back three,
and then Almiron with the wing backs, and
just let everyone else go forward.
Yeah, basically, yeah, precisely. There'll be some Newcastle fans asking why they had to be 4-2 down to commit like that, but there is of course the chance that Antonio will cause more problems on the break himself.
I think that's just the way Newcastle play, and Steve Bruce's teams do play here. They do soak up pressure and try and hit on the counter-attack because they have got the players to be able to do that.
No foul there against Ritchie, challenged by Soufal on the edge of the West Ham penalty area. Rice leads the charge forward. Soufal gallops over the halfway line. Benrahma and Antonio ahead of him. Here is Antonio facing goal, moving forward, and now Fornals, and now Benrahma on the left edge of the Newcastle penalty area. They look stretched again. Benrahma's cross is expertly tucked over, or tucked away from danger, from under his own crossbar by Federico Fernandez. That could have gone anywhere, potentially into his own net. Here's Almiron right in front of us and in front of the two managers. Sam Maximon is caught by Rice, who then goes down himself. Rice is being told he went underneath St. Maximon. The two of them are down. Rice is just unbandaging his right leg. I think he's going to need some attention, actually. He's taking his shin pad off, or is he he's reattaching his shin pad? I think the shin pad was in the wrong place.
I think he's got tape around his calf to keep the shin pads in place, and I think that may be getting a little bit too tight, because he did struggle with a little bit of cramp in the Euros, didn't he?
Well, as I said, 5 times Jordan Henderson came on for him in the latter stages.
Yeah, and straight away, as soon as he did that, he held his calf.
But I think Declan Rice has been given a little bit by the Newcastle fans around the dugouts, and has given a little bit back, which they kind of appreciated. But he's okay now. He's got his shin pads back on, and he's had a little energy boost, and he's back on the field of play. West Ham still leading 4-2, just over 15 minutes to go. Let's get team news from the new White Hart Lane. Tottenham Man City at 4:30. Here's Phil Parrott.
Well, as expected, no Harry Kane involved at all for Tottenham Hotspur. It's Nuno Espirito Santo's first game in charge. He makes 4 changes from the team that last played competitively against Leicester City in that 4-2 victory. Hugo Lloris equals Darren Anderson's Premier League record for Spurs of 299 Premier League appearances. He's between the sticks. Tanganga, Sanchez, Dyer and Reguilon the back 4. Skip and Højbjerg in midfield. Bergwijn, Son and Dele Alli supporting Lucas as the striker. For Manchester City, much change from that Community Shield defeat to Leicester. Edison, back in goal. Cancelo, Dias, Ake and Mendy the back four. Fernandinho, Gundogan and a debut for Grealish in the Premier League for City. Mahrez, Sterling and Torres up top. It's still, Nick, the elephant in the room.
It is. And he's not involved, and I bet an awful lot of the conversation will surround him once this game is over, and that's entirely appropriate because he's still the headline. Harry Kane not involved for Tottenham Manchester City, but maybe he'll be involved the next time Tottenham play Manchester City this season.
I think he will be.
Yeah, one way or the other he will be, actually. Fitness supposing. 4-2 to West Ham here. Bowen surges forward for the Hammers through the middle. Benrahma tries to clip it over the top of Fernandes, who heads it away. Benrahma has it again. He's going to lift this forward, headed away by Clark. Ritchie lets it bounce, and then he's collided with Soufal. Game continues. Souček's cross, and it's whipped away by Kraft as it was about to land on Antonio's head. West Ham very close to number 5.
It was good defending in the end by Kraft, wasn't it? Antonio was right behind him, ready to pounce any error of judgment on the header there, but he did well getting a little flick on it and keeping it going on its way. But Kufal is over there on the floor. I think he got one in the face from Ritchie as they both went up for the header. It's always one of those when the ball bounces up in front of someone. You just, you look through your fingers hoping that no one gets too hurt, because two committed players going for the ball like that, someone's always going to come off worse than the other.
Fornal, a little flick round the corner. Benrahma can't get there. Murphy tidies up. Fornal has, I thought, fouled Murphy there, but no, it's gone out of play for a throw into West Ham. Newcastle fans roll their eyes when it's not going your way.
Martin Atkins is saying to Murphy, "What do you want me to do? It came off you.
Yeah.
Give me a foul, I think, please."
Yeah, no, I think that's what he wanted. I thought he was caught, but Martin Atkinson was considerably closer than I am. 13 minutes left. BBC Radio London. 4-2 West Ham lead here. This goes all the way back to Cresswell, and Ogbonna has it inside his own half. Now it's clipped down the channel for Antonio to chase. Oh, he's done well to keep it alive. Here's Bowen. And Souček's arriving. He runs into 3 Newcastle players. Between them, they've dispossessed him. And then it's cleared downfield by Ritchie to the halfway line. Held up by Wilson. Seems a very long time ago now that Callum Wilson headed Newcastle into the lead. Since then, West Ham have equalised. Newcastle have gone back in front. West Ham have equalised again. West Ham have gone in front for the first time and then extended their lead. Here's Rice barrelling forward now for the Hammers. He's held it up beautifully. He's got Bowen to his right. Antonio's making his way in the box. Here's Bowen's cross. It rolls awkwardly. It's cleared away by Kraft on the stretch. Murphy goes charging towards the halfway line. West Ham now look a bit short defensively. Murphy's eaten up territory. The cross is not great, although it's come back to Fraser, the substitute, onto his right foot, curls it wide. Fabianski unruffled as that flew past his left hand upright. Still Newcastle 2, West Ham 4. Goals in this half by Benrahma, Souček and Antonio.
Yeah, if you look at the pitch right now, I mean, it's changed a little bit, but just a second ago you had about 8 players in one half, and you had about 8 or 9 players in the other half. There was no one in midfield at all. It was like literally attack versus defence. If Declan Rice was struggling with cramp, you'd never know it. He's just gone on a 50-yard run with the ball to try and burst forward to make something happen.
Am I right saying there was a 1-2 there as well? So not only did he offload, he also then wanted it back.
Yeah, he did. He played it off and then carried in his run into the box. So he's either a glutton for punishment or just loves the pain in his calves.
Well, those calves have had the strapping taken off them for now. Cresswell coming forward in West Ham colours. Just over 10 minutes left. Cresswell, who got the goal-scoring stars in for West Ham. Here's Benrahma, who scored the second equaliser. Souček, who made it 3-2. And the Olays are coming out from the away support. This is rubbing the collective Newcastle face in it, really. Fornals tries to get away from Murphy. Murphy makes the challenge and Puts it out for a throw, quickly taken by Fornals. Here's Benrahma on the left, tries to play it square. They're just first to the ball, West Ham, all the time. Here's Rice, edge of the box, goes wide down the left, held up, uses Fornals in support. Here is Fornals, he races into the penalty area now, wants to drive it in. It's a tame shot and easy for Woodman. 10 minutes left.
Yeah, the thing is, from West Ham's point of view, they don't need to go and score another goal. The game's won. They just need to, as they're doing there, and you can hear by the crowd, just keep the ball, keep the possession, frustrate Newcastle, because they can't score if they haven't got the ball. You know, even there when Fornals shoots, yeah, it's sort of on to shoot, but you could have just come out and given it to Cresswell. Just keep the ball for another minute or two. Really, really frustrate Newcastle and keep them working and tire them out.
Wear that clock down. Could be a very good 3 points for West Ham on this opening day, and it's a bit of a statement. I mean, if it does end 4-2 and there's some time left and Newcastle have threatened periodically, as Sean Longstaff's going to come on very shortly, a bit of a statement this, isn't it, from West Ham? We're talking about whether people are kind of undervaluing West Ham as a real going concern in this season's Premier League. Going to score 4 goals away from home on the opening day. People are obliged to take notice of you, aren't they?
Without a doubt. I think even after yesterday's results, there was a few statements there, when you Man United beating or thrashing Leeds, you know, Liverpool going away from home and winning comfortably, Chelsea winning at home comfortably. You know, there were statements being made, and I think West Ham have definitely not disappointed tonight or this afternoon.
Yes, this it just feels like the evening because it's been dark since we got here. Yeah, scoring 4 goals away from home in the Premier League is something to take notice of on the opening day against anyone. Still we wait for Longstaff's introduction. Back to Bonner, who uses Dawson alongside him. It was at this point in the game I was going to probably bring up the absence of Jesse Lingard and how much West Ham were missing him. I suppose you can't say they're missing him when they've scored 4 goals and created loads of chances away from home.
No, of course not. But then when you've got players like Benrahma stepping up and performing as well as he has done today, and Fornals and Bowen, you know, you wouldn't necessarily miss him. But obviously, what an acquisition he was last year. If they could made that signing permanent, then it would obviously improve the team and just the options that David Moyes has. But you know, that's not to be. And today, just forget it and move on without him. At the end of the day, they've got some great players here. You know, and if they carry on playing like this with the confidence they are, then they're going to win more games than they lose this year.
Soufal, right side, cuts it back. Souček tries to place it. It's deflected just wide. Came off a Newcastle player, I think. Souček tried to arrow it into the net, and it's another West Ham corner. Their 6th of the game. And West Ham fans applauding wildly as Jarrod Bowen comes to take this. I think Mark Noble's doing some warming up. The start of his final season in a West Ham shirt, of course. Not sure he'll be required today. Always keen to come on and join the fray. As this is whipped in by Bowen, this corner, headed away as far as Soufal, who tries to ping it back out to Bowen, doesn't work. And Ritchie lofts it downfield. Well, Bonner's slightly undercooked that back pass. As you know, it's going to reach Fabianski comfortably. Comes back to him. And then it's steered over halfway where Bowen is just beaten to it and it's nodded out of play. We're going to see Joe Linton as well. So a striker coming on. And Longstaff's introduction, much trailed introduction. He's been standing there for several minutes. It's going to come on for Emil Kraft. Sean Longstaff making his way in. Callum Wilson comes off for Joe Linton. As I mentioned, feels like an awfully long time ago that Callum Wilson scored his 9th Premier League goal against West Ham right at the start of this game.
But for a home team to be 4-2 down and not really be sort of putting West Ham under pressure,
no.
It's been, you know, you can understand why the Newcastle fans do get angry and upset with, you know, with things on the pitch, because, you know, West Ham,
It's cleared away on the stretch by Fabianski. Almiron wasn't too far away. You'd almost put on two strikers as a public relations exercise, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you know, even that, taking Callum Wilson off, you sort of think, why are you doing that? Just go for it. You're 4-2 down anyway. I mean, are they worried about goal difference already? But I mean, it seems a bit of a bizarre substitution, that one. And even taking Kraft off, you've then got to put Hayden in the back five anyway. So I don't know, it's very strange. But from West Ham's point of view, you know, you'll take this comfortable now. Obviously, scoring the two goals in the second half in such quick succession was good. And they're going to, 5 minutes left. You can't see anything strange happening.
A ripple of applause for Callum Wilson as he completes his half circuit of the pitch. This is steered forward for Joe Linton for Newcastle, who need 2 goals in the remaining 5 minutes. Here's Murphy inside the box, goes one way then the other. He's done quite well. Little twinkle-toed run, might drop to Longstaff, no, hacked away. Fraser was on the ground trying to turn it in. Newcastle's most positive moment for a little while. Ryan Fredericks is going to come on for West Ham at the next available opportunity.
Yeah, it was. Cresswell there is just having a go at Fornals. Fornals just let Murphy run off him. And then that causes issues in the box because he was just being lazy. Again, you know, forwards like that, they think the game's won. So they think, oh, I don't need to track him back. But you do. That's when you need to work hard and to really sort of end any hope that Newcastle have.
Fraser goes wide on the left-hand side to Ritchie. Low cross coming in, dealt with by Dawson. It's a corner to Newcastle. And they are cranking through the gears from a fairly low start. And the remaining 3.5 minutes of normal time.
It sort of feels too little, too late, doesn't it? They, should have been doing this 15 minutes ago.
The crowd know that as well. That's the problem. We're getting to the bottom of this. As the corner's swung in, Almiron almost gets there. Souček does get there. Ball arrowed in by Ritchie. It takes a deflection and goes out for a corner. That, to be fair, could have gone anywhere.
It could have done. Good defending though again from West Ham. You know, I think it was Souček that won the header to clear it. Obviously, it falls to Ritchie on his left foot, which you don't particularly want on the edge of the box. But then West Ham are throwing bodies in the way of that shot.
Here's the corner, flicked away by Antonio, who scored the 4th. Saint Maximin picks it up on the touchline. Low cross, awkward, and Fernandez can't get there. Goes out for a goal kick. The kick came off the Newcastle player last. The home fans, well, I was going to say are furious. They don't even get that furious, do they, really? They kind of blow their cheeks out in frustration. Still, we're waiting for Fredericks to make his introduction. Time is ticking away. A Harry Kane-less Tottenham take on Manchester City at 4:30 here on BBC Radio London Sport on digital. We'll be with Phil Parry and Bradley Allen for all the build-up after 4 o'clock. And it's Saïd Benrahma who scored his 2nd goal in a West Ham shirt today. Really important one as well to make it 2-2. He comes off. Ryan Fredericks comes on. And he's going to play on the left-hand side of what looks like a back 3. Ryan Cresswell will slot, unless I've misread that.
Yeah, no, it looks like that. But I think it was, again, just to sort of stop Murphy making those runs forward, because that's where they just caused a little bit of issue in the last 5 minutes with Fornals not tracking him. So put Fredericks on and tell him to stay with the runner.
Antonio tries to hold this up for West Ham inside the Newcastle half. It doesn't work, and Ryan Fraser is industrious as he bustles over the halfway line. We're reaching the point where, if Newcastle don't score to make it 4-3 and quote-unquote put West Ham under some pressure, then really the 2-goal margin is too difficult to close in the remaining moments. But who knows? It's been a very strange afternoon at St James's Park, full of surprises. Those West Ham fans still ebullient with their side 4-2 up in the 90th minute. There will be lots of stoppage time. We've had VAR checks, we've had substitutions, we've had injuries in this second half. I would say, and we've had goal celebrations as well. I would say 4 minutes or so probably to be added on. We'll have some time to chat about what this result means for West Ham. Before we hand over to our team in North London, where I understand the weather is considerably better than it is here. And Andrei Yarmolenko, another man who spent the summer around Europe at the European Championships, is going to come on, and he's going to replace Jared Bowen, who is once again contributing to West Ham so much. Great to see a Championship player come into the Premier League and do so well.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's quality in the Championship, and given a chance that these guys can step up and do it. We've seen, look how well the clubs are doing when they come up themselves, like Brentford and stuff. And obviously Ben Rama's done it, and Bowen's done it.
Yes.
And
Antonio.
Yeah, exactly. There's enough of them knocking around, and they don't look out of place, do they, when they come to make that step? So,
in fact, if you look at this West Ham team, Fredericks played in the Championship with Fulham, Cresswell played in the Championship with Ipswich. Yeah, absolutely full of these excellent products of the English second tier.
And I think sometimes then that comes down to recruitment. Can you go and find those little gems that aren't going to cost you £100 million, but they can step up and do just as good a job? And they are definitely out there, 100%.
Well, David Moyes did it for Everton. I mean, Phil Jagielka was one he plucked from Sheffield United, I think, in the Championship. I'm hoping I'm going to think of another one at Everton. I haven't yet, but Jagielka's the one I always bring out. And no, another one has not occurred to me when David Moyes was in charge of Everton. He was in charge of Everton for the best part of a decade. I'm sure there was.
Phil will be able to fill us in when he comes on after the game. We'll contest his ability.
No, Phil will be rattling them off as he sits there listening.
He'll be googling it now.
Ben Johnson is the latest West Ham player being prepared. And yes, this game is now petering out fully. We're going to have 4 minutes of stoppage time as forecast. I'm better at forecasting the number of added on minutes than perhaps I am at remembering Everton players that David Moyes got out of the Championship. But from a West Ham perspective, as I said, there's loads of them. Pablo Fornals isn't one, but he crosses halfway and is brought down by Longstaff. The referees wave play on. Soufal gets it wide to Yarmolenko on that right side. The Ukrainian controls it. A few more olays. Back to Soufal on the right. This is all inside Newcastle territory. Newcastle had about 90 seconds, didn't they, where they really looked as though they were going to ask some questions of West Ham late on. Johnson coming on, and it is the new West Ham number 9, who isn't new at all, but who has scored the 4th goal today for the Hammers, Michail Antonio, who missed the penalty but saw the follow-up go in from Souček and scored number 4 for West Ham. He got 10 goals last season and has become absolutely instrumental for West Ham under David Moyes. He comes on, and the 21-year-old Johnson straight into the action. Can he keep that from going out of play? No, it's a goal kick. But yes, he's going to take a little tour behind Freddie Woodman's goal, is Michail Antonio, to take the salute from those West Ham fans up in the gods. And he's taking his time, and who can blame him? And today, he's led the line brilliantly. Utterly deserves to wear that number 9 shirt, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. You know what you're going to get from Antonio every game, don't you? He's going to work hard. He's going to put the other, the opposition defence under pressure. He's got quality. He's got pace. He's got power. And rightly so, he should have been given that number 9 shirt, because if he can stay fit, I think he could score, 15, 20 goals this season.
Well, he's off the mark today. And Johnson's taken up a position wide on the right-hand side, by the way. That's where he's currently operating. Yarmolenko's gone to play up front in the absence of Antonio, who's striding towards the West Ham bench. It's a long run. He's a little trudge he's had. The television steady cam following him all the way. Takes a couple of energy drinks from the coaching staff and gets a big handshake from Kevin Nolan. Job well done for Michail Antonio today, with West Ham deep in stoppage time at the end of this second half, leading Newcastle by 4 goals to 2. This goes out of play, and Martin Atkinson decides that will do. A few muted boos from the Newcastle fans, but it is the West Ham supporters who haven't had an away day to savour for 18 long months, have come all the way up to the northeast of England and seen their team score 4 goals and send quite a statement.